And we're live. This is Dr. Gianmichael Salvato with Better Health and Financial Fitness. We want to thank you guys for tuning in this week. And, unfortunately, as the world is stunned by the news of Robin Williams' suicide, this week I thought that it was especially important to talk about a subject that doesn't get enough attention in the media, in our social networks, in life in general, in health and wellness, and that's depression. Depression is a pandemic, and an alarming crisis is claiming the lives of our children and loved ones. And the worst part is that this crisis is completely avoidable. So that's what we want to talk about today. Reports that were released by the World Health Organization not long ago indicate that more people worldwide will be affected by depression than any other health condition over the next 2 decades. It's already the #1 cause of disability among children and adolescents worldwide, and it's a statistic that is equally staggering when you look at the big picture as well. There's nothing that I think is more important that we can do right now if you will, in honor of folks like Robin Williams who committed suicide, or the tens of thousands of people, especially young adults, who commit suicide every day, who don't get the media attention. Nobody's crying and posting Facebook posts for the children who commit suicide, because they were bullied, or because they had difficult home lives, or just because they just had this overwhelming and inexplicable sense of sadness. And so I think we need to raise awareness, and we need to do more every single month, not just in May of each year when they have National Depression Awareness Month. The World Health Organization tells us that 450 million people are directly affected by mental disorders or disabilities, most of whom live in developing countries. Not and developed countries, not in third world countries. So if we fast forward a few years, it's evident that we live in a world where slightly more than half of all mental disorders begin before the age of 14, where around 20% of the world's children and adults suffer from depression and other mental disorders. Think about those numbers. Half of all mental disorders begin before the age of 14. And yet mental professionals are only available in economically challenged countries at a ratio of 1 child psychiatrist for every 2 to 4 million people. So when I say economically challenged, I'm not just talking about poor countries, but those countries that are marked by what economists would call the middle income countries. And that includes our own. So I want you guys to really stop today and think about who you can share today's program with. Approximately 86% of the 800,000 people who commit suicide every year come from low to moderate income countries, and 400,000 of them are young people. That's folks between the ages of 15 and 40. So I wanted to reach out today. I want us to start to talk about depression. I want us to recognize that the stigma that often accompanies depression, that often makes us ashamed of depression, is not something that should be there. I'll start by sharing with you that, as many of you know, I have young onset Parkinson's disease, and one of the effects of Parkinson's on individuals is an inexplicable depression, a depression that comes from no known stimulus. And I might wake up one day, and because my brain chemistry is off, I might find myself in deep and profound depression. Yesterday was one of those days when the depression is so intense that that I can truly say now that I understand, for perhaps the first time in my life, what it's like to be suicidal. And yet there was nothing happening to make me suicidal. So it's important to understand that this is a disease. This is an imbalance in brain chemistry, and that it's something that we have to talk about. That in recent years, that the highest suicide rates occurred in Eastern European men. According to the World Health Organization, depression is going to be the biggest health burden of society, both economically and sociologically, and yet most countries spend less than 2% of their national budget on mental health care. Psychiatrists at Columbia University and the New York State Psychiatric Institute have been reporting for years that teens who have minor to moderate depression are at much greater risk for serious health issues later in life than any other segment of our population. In one study that Columbia did among I think it was 700 or 750 people, anxiety, severe depression, and eating disorders were far more common in 20 and 30-year-olds who had minor depression as young adults and adolescents. So what I want to encourage you guys to do today is I want you to think about the fact that imbalances in our body always stem both from the thought processes, from our mindset, from our attitude, and from our diet. You know, nutrition is the foundation for a healthy body, and when we give our body what it needs in terms of the right amount of rest, the right amount of proper nutrition, the right amount of exercise and exposure to sunlight, you know, when we get out and move around, we give our bodies the best chance that it has to counteract and to rebalance those imbalances that can result in minor depression. And if we don't do that, then we know that just as happens with adolescents, you know, again, I just want to stress that, you know, adolescents who suffered from minor depression people who suffered from minor depression as adolescents, when they were in their 20s and 30s, were so much more highly likely to suffer from severe anxiety, from eating disorders, and from severe depression. So we know that there's a cumulative effect that takes place. Now that study at Columbia was done on 14 to 16-year-olds who were then followed as they got older until they reached their 30s and 40s, and that study found that 8% of participants had minor depression as teenagers. And that same 8% was the group that had major depression. That group was 4 times higher. The likelihood of their developing these disorders was 4 times higher than those who didn't have signs of depression when they were children. You know, so it's really critical that we start to look at what we can do on a health and nutrition basis. And so one of the first things we can do is to make sure that we're eating well. We need to make sure that our amino acid assays and that our levels of amino acids are balanced in our bodies. And the reason that I say that is that your body is an incredible machine. And so your amino acids are similar to, think about the equalizer on your stereo system or on your computer. And if you move one of those knobs down a little bit, then if you have it set on automatic, all of the other knobs move with it so that it keeps that same balance. Well, that's what happens to our amino acids. If you're imbalanced in just one amino acid, all of the other amino acid levels drop so that you have that same balance. And your body continues to drop those amino acid levels so that you're now creating major deficiencies. And eventually, if an amino acid is missing, then other amino acids start to be completely depleted as well, again, trying to create that balance. So by providing the body with amino acids that we need, we give the body the best chance that it can in order to be healthy. The other thing that we need to do is we need to start protecting our immune system. You know, there's something called a signaling molecule in your body. And we develop these immune functions as fetuses, actually, with what's called transfer factor. When we allow our bodies to be in balance, then those transfer factors activate the signaling molecules, which then stimulate our immune function. They stimulate those stem cells that go to work on the imbalances in our body that might be running us down, that might be wearing us out. And they allow our bodies to bring ourselves back to what we call homeostasis or balance. So you know, guys, these statistics are staggering. The loss of the great comedic genius of Robin Williams might serve as a good reminder for us. You know, there was a 2.5 times increased risk of agoraphobia, fear of going outside, anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder among those people, those young adults, 30 to 40 years old, in the Columbia study, who had suffered from minor depression as adolescents. We're no longer helpless to positively impact the alarming increase of, excuse me, of depression in our lives and in our society. We can continue to ensure that teachers and social workers and pastoral counselors, community leaders, and families have the appropriate skills to identify when a child displays signs of depression, allowing them to gain access to treatment early before it turns into some of these disorders, or worse, turns into alcoholism or drug addiction. One of the first things that you can do to find out and educate yourself more about what you can do to protect yourself and to protect your loved ones is to click on the link below this program today. And then when that page loads, click on products and look at the listing for mood and wellness, overall wellness. Look at the listing for immune protection or transfer factors. Start to educate yourself about products like Inner Sun, that can help you to give your body what it might be missing if you suffer from depression or anxiety. We live in a society that, quite frankly, is just stressful. And if we allow ourselves to be impacted by those negative stressors, whether they're emotional or psychological, whether they're environmental, or caused by anything else. As in my case, like I said, there are times that the Parkinson's affects me in ways that just can't be explained. But when that happens, I make sure that on those days that I take the products that are necessary for me to give myself the best advantage, to give myself the best opportunity that I possibly can to counteract those imbalances. So I want to encourage you guys to understand that we can provide the body with transfer factors and balance our amino acid profiles. We can significantly reduce the risk of depression and anxiety by lowering excessive cortisol levels in the bloodstream. When you lower those cortisol levels, you allow the body's serotonin levels to increase, and serotonin gives us that feeling of well-being. The person who shared this with you cares enough about wanting to see folks positively impact their health and wellness. And so I encourage you to check out that link, find out a little bit more information about what you can do to naturally combat depression from a nutritional basis. And then get outside, take advantage of the opportunity to spend at least 30 minutes every day outside in the sunshine, getting exercise, getting oxygen, and moving your body. Nothing will give you a greater sense of well-being than getting out and moving. In fact, when this program is over, that's exactly what I'll be doing, is shooting some of my other training videos outside in the park along the riverfront here where I live. If you live in a major city or you work during the day, take advantage of your lunch break or your break time to get outside, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes. It'll do you a world of good. And always remember, more than anything else, that you have someone that you can talk to. If there's no one else in your life you can talk to about the things that are stressing you, then get in touch with us here, because we'd be happy to listen. We'd be happy to give you some encouragement and support to help you to deal with depression. And there are professionals in your area that, if your depression is severe, if you're feeling trapped, or if you're starting to have thoughts that frighten you, or you're thinking of hurting yourself, then reach out to those professionals in your area. Guys, I hope that this has been helpful for you. On behalf of all of us at the Abundant Life Network, I want to extend my deepest sympathies to the loved ones of Robin Williams, to his family and those closest to him who are suffering at this time of tremendous loss, and to all of his fans and those who like myself, just so appreciated the fact that he made us laugh, he made us cry, and most of all, he made us think. I want us to do the right thing, and as a legacy, maybe Robin Williams' death might not end up being in vain in the long run, because it might have raised our awareness just a little bit at how finances and money and a lavish lifestyle or a comfortable lifestyle have nothing to do with the causes of depression. Sure, finances may contribute to your depression. Not having the right home might contribute to your depression, but here was somebody who, by all appearances, had everything going for him, and yet still this disease affected him. And so it could affect somebody that you love, somebody who seems to be happy, who seems to have everything going for them. And so if we can just raise our awareness and become a little bit more mindful of what's going on around us and within us, then I think that we can make a major impact and make some major progress on depression. That's my hope as a naturopathic physician, my hope as a wellness advocate, and it's my hope for each and every one of you. So until next time, stay in the moment, because that's where the power is. Be grateful for everything that you have. Find out what you can do to make your life healthier and more in balance. And always remember that the best is yet to come. Until next time, this is Dr. Gianmichael Salvato wishing you a life that's filled with everything good, and looking forward to talking to you soon. Namaste.